All right, so welcome back to another episode of Oblivious Teenage Driver and Super Observant Dad. So on this week's episode, we're going to be tackling why the Ford Ranger doesn't have any engine temperature. So I'll give you some ideas on what I think it is and kind of the direction I'm going to go with that. All right, so some real quick basic information here. This is a Ford Ranger. It's a 2010, approximately 86,000 miles with the 2.3 liter 16 valve. So the issue was last weekend or weekend before, this thing was parked outside. I had to plow snow, so I started it. I left it run, moved it a couple times. Forgot that it was running because I got sidetracked with another project and came back out, and after probably at least a half hour, maybe longer, of just idling, the needle on the temperature gauge was still on C, like had not moved at all. And I thought that was a little strange. So asked my daughter, who drives this truck every day. She said, no, it works fine. There's no heating issues. I don't know what you're talking about, Dad. So anyway, yesterday we go take it to pick up a tree. We drove about a half hour to get to the place to cut the tree down, and basically no engine temperature the whole time. Some heat, but not enough that I would say we'd be roasting out. We had it set on like the highest heating setting, not fan speed, and it wasn't just like baking us out of the cab, which I thought was kind of suspicious. So when we did stop, I checked this hose here. These two heater hoses. These hoses were warm, definitely not hot. This one was cool to the touch. So I assumed that it's going to be the thermostat, which I believe is right down in there. So thermostat is like a plastic housing. It's all one piece. So we'll have to get that removed. I didn't go any further than that, and then on the way back we did get a check engine light, which I'm going to assume is for low engine temperature. So I don't think it's a gauge issue, I don't think it's a sending unit issue, I don't think it's any other valves, I don't think it's the heater core. It's got plenty of coolant. So I'm going to just dive in and say that thermostat is stuck open. So I'm going to get it pulled apart here. Once I have it out, we'll take a look at the thermostat and then see if it is stuck open. Alright, so you can see I have my trouble light here with my bulb, incandescent. The more ornamental it is, extra points. So I don't know if you can see it down there, but I got all the hoses off, all the bolts are out. So here's going to be the moment of truth. I got a real hard time seeing with glasses, lighting, what the deal is here. I think we're getting it. Sounds like it's, ooh, cracking loose. Oh, good. Coolant on the floor. And there is our thermostat. Oop. Alright, so I should mention, I absolutely hate doing jobs that involve the cooling system. I just hate how my hands always end up getting sticky. So it looks like we'll have to clean up the surface there where that housing sits. So I'll be honest, I was a little perplexed when I took this apart, because I thought for sure I see this stuck open and I didn't. This is hopefully the right part number. That's what the parts store person, who was less than impressed with me asking for this, because they had to go wait to the top shelf to get it. So gasket comes around here. This one I already pulled the gasket off because it's stuck. But do you see the difference? Do you see where the issue is? If you look right in here, there's a piece of this rubber that looks like it's stuck between where the thermostat seals. So I'm guessing, because this is pinched, we're getting coolant past that thermostat. So a simple fix too, which I didn't mention, well, it would be just throw a piece of cardboard in front of the radiator, and that'll pretty much take care of your issues. You just restrict some of that airflow, should cause your coolant temperature to go up. You'd have your heat, everything should be correct. You just have to remember to remove that when summer comes or warmer days. or if for some reason then this gets back in place, which it doesn't look like it is. This definitely looks like this is the culprit here. So why it did that, not really sure, but everything else looks like it's correct, so we'll get it cleaned up. I'll get it installed. These bolts here were 8mm, very, very not tight. Like, I took those out with this with very little effort. So I don't know, I'm gonna guess that if there was a torque spec on these, which I'm sure there is, it's probably like 80-90 inch-pounds or something, not much. You do have metal inserts here, so it's not like you're gonna crack the plastic. So I'm just gonna go around when I put them on, snug them up, and go from there. But yeah, that's got to be the issue. Why it did that, I have no idea. So, and the hoses came off, not too bad. The only other connector I pulled off was this, and that was to air conditioning here. Was it the air conditioning? No, it was to the power steering the way it looks. Yeah, power steering. Not sure that really made a difference. I think it was more of a psychological thing, just being able to get in there. So, alright, let me get this cleaned up. Alright, so I got it all put back together. We're starting the slow, tedious process of filling and getting the air out of the system. I guess a couple things to note that I did that maybe others wouldn't have. So the bolts going into the thermostat housing, the one was kind of corroded. They're all stainless. I'm assuming that bottom one must have been leaking a little bit of coolant because there was some corrosion on it, and there looked like there was corrosion on the mating surface too. So I used this, it's like a thread chase tool, cleans up the threads, and then I ran it through each one of the holes as well. So that's something I did. I don't know that others would do. And then I guess the other thing that really comes in handy, this little channel lock here, adjustable pliers. I've used this in other videos, and I've mentioned this too. This is probably the most frequently grabbed tool in my shop when I get into a pinch. It's small enough where you can get in anywhere, and it's got the right angle, so if you're trying to get these stupid spring clamps off and you don't have the specific tool to do it, this works great. I've done this numerous times back in the garage and then on my own stuff as well. And this sensor down here is a pressure sensor for the power steering. I don't know, I knew it was a pressure sensor, but I thought that was for the AC, but I saw it went into the bottom of this power steering pump. So somehow that must be tied in with something to tell the truck to do something. I don't know, maybe it idles it up, because it looks like there is nothing else on the actual pump. This is all mechanical the way it looks, so it must do something with idle, I guess. Maybe so it has enough flow or whatever for turning. Yep, now we're starting to come down here a little bit. So when I took out, it looks like just about 2 gallons of coolant. I don't know, the stuff doesn't look that bad. I just flushed the system not that long ago, but I'm not one to reuse coolant unless I absolutely have to. So that's 1,000 times better than what we had. The other day we were like on the sea, not even the little notch above the sea. We were on the sea the entire time for a half-hour ride at about, I don't know, 2,700 RPM on the highway. So I'm gonna take this thing to O'Reilly's, have them check this, check engine light. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be for low coolant. So I guess Dad can't be wrong every time, can he? Huh, what do you know? So the other thing to note with this thing not being warm like this, I'm pretty sure this thing was absolutely dumping fuel, thinking it was you know, like basically choking, trying to get the engine warm, so it dumped more fuel until it would warm up. So I'm assuming the fuel economy on this thing is probably pretty awful. It was a trick we used to do back in the day with our Mustangs. You put in a 180 or a 160 thermostat so that the motor would stay cool, dump more fuel. In theory, you should have more power. So, all right, so I got the tester here from, let's just turn the heat off, from O'Reilly's. He told me just to plug it in, turn it on. It's I'm going to collect the information, and then they can run it on the inside, I guess, and tell me what it comes up as. We'll see. Like I said, it's more than likely going to be low coolant temp, I'm assuming, unless there's a different unrelated issue that just so happened to coincide at the same time. Alright, so there we go. Let's take it back to the store and see what we get. Alright, so I didn't clear the code. Kind of forgot about that. We can just we'll pull the battery off. That clears everything, and it starts all the data from new. So when he put the code reader on his computer, it said low coolant fault, and it was like possible causes thermostat. So yeah, I guess we hit that one on the nose, didn't we? So another secret that you may not know, I secretly really like working on these greasy old Fords. Maybe this isn't old, but it is greasy, and I don't know, there's something about working on a Ford, I just get it. Like, I seem to understand Fords better than any other manufacturer, and I don't know why. There's something about a Ford, I just in tune with it. All right, so we got it back here. Just got back from O'Reilly's. Oh yeah, we got to disconnect the battery. So what I asked for was one of these paint filters. We used to use these all the time in the garage. Whenever we drained out coolant, we would use one of these to try to catch all the particles, or if you got any dirt in with it. So instead of putting in another half gallon of brand new coolant, I am going to recycle the old stuff and filter it a few times with this into the 2 containers I have, because like I said, this thing's going to take another half a gallon for sure. It's just, there's air somewhere in this system, and I just got to wait for it to get out. I tried pulling the cap, but obviously we had a little pressure there, so let me do that. I'll get the battery disconnected, and then we should be good to go with this. So I don't know if you can see it, but there's a little chunk of something, dirt, and there's something down in there as well. It's kind of hard to see. There you can kind of see. So it does catch stuff. So like I said, I'm going to filter that a few times, put it back in the old jug, and then that'll be what we use to kind of top this thing off, and if we need any extra coolant. This coolant I took out, I flushed it about 10,000 miles ago. So alright, so there is the bill I gave my daughter. I told her that if we took it in somewhere, it probably would be, I'm guessing, 500 bucks or so, with the amount of labor and parts and whatever else, other nonsense that they have. Right now, this thing is just absolutely cooking me out of the cab here. I'm set on the lowest fan speed, and the hottest setting for temperature, and this thing is just cooking in here now. So definitely was the issue. We got the check engine light off. It should be doing much better on fuel. So that's probably going to be it for this episode of See, Dad's Not Wrong About Everything.